Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today, we are going to be talking about how to increase your productivity. And as a mom of three and as a CEO, this is one of my most favorite topics to talk about because we could all use a little bit more time in our day, right? So I'm going to bring on my guest, Lauren, who is a French teacher turned coach and consultant. Hey,
Hi.
Lauren, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I was just saying, Ryan, while I was getting situated, that I love talking. I feel like you and I are so alike in this way. Like, I love talking about productivity. I love talking about getting focused. I don't know if it's the teacher turned CEO because we both have been on that journey, but I asked you to come on because you have kids, I have kids, and as our own business owners and CEOs, being more productive in our day when we have kids is like probably number one most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would love if you would share any productivity tips you have. So, like I said, Lauren does this with her teachers who are her
Mm-hmm.
clients and students. So, there is definitely some translation, like I said at the beginning, between teaching and planning and productivity and your business. So how have you taken what you've known about being a massively productive teacher and use that in your business? And what tips do you have for people who maybe are struggling with productivity themselves?
Totally. So there's a lot that I could share, but some things that I think I like for teachers who are listening, business has actually helped me become a more productive teacher. And some of the strategies we learn in business can be applied to teaching actually, and vice versa. So one of the things that I always ask my teachers to do right away, or when we first start, is the idea of planning out your time. And some people like to plan it like literally from 12 until 1, i.e. some of the times I work 12 to 2. 12 to 1 is going to be like, I'm going to be working on this thing, and then 1 to 2. And then other people like to say, okay, within this frame of time, I'm going to get these things done. But instead of working from this long to-do list, whether you're a teacher or you're a business owner, having a long to-do list can feel overwhelming, and it can feel like you don't know where to prioritize. You don't know, like, even when you finish it, you still have so many things left standing. And so instead of working from a to-do list, I ask my teachers, and I would recommend it for business owners too, is to actually plan out when you're going to do what, so that you know how much you've actually got to do that particular day. You can trust yourself that you'll actually get the results and not just work on something. Like you'll have like you can trust that you're going to get that result during that time. And you know too that when you're planning your time, you're going to be focusing your priorities rather than doing everything. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And that's like the mile long to-do list, I actually think is like the killer of productivity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like the long to-do list, there's no kind of like like I talk about it in teaching and in business. There's the idea of being like the visionary, the integrator, taking a step back and thinking about what the most important things are to do. And then there's the person actually doing it, like the employee who's doing all the tasks, right? But if you're always doing all the tasks, you're not saying which one's most important, which one is the priority, which is going to make the biggest impact on my business or my students. You're just working, and you never know, you have no idea of what productive really means because you have no kind of benchmark for it, if that makes sense.
So if they have this giant to-do list, because I know, and I know from myself in the past, and I also know from clients and students, that's hard to break. The giant to-do
Mm-hmm.
list is hard to break. So if they've been sitting here for years, whether it's in like, mom tasks, parent tasks, house tasks, business
Mm-hmm.
tasks, teacher tasks, and they have that giant to-do list, what's the first step to breaking it and like not looking back?
Totally. So I think for me, in terms of like, I have a list, of course, as a mom and other things I need to do as a mom. I have the things for my business. I have different like to-do lists, but I don't just keep it on one running long to-do list and think of all the things I'm not doing because I don't know about some of the teachers or some of the student or sorry, some of the business owners that you work with, but a lot of the teachers I work with feel like they're just not doing enough, even though they're working constantly. Yeah. So the idea for me is to have blocks of time that are reserved for like the specific roles in my life. So I plan out on Sundays. I plan out like I have like a meeting with myself where I plan out my home life. Like I know what we're eating. I know when my kids are going to be picked up, or who's going to take care of this, or who's going to be taking care of my toddler. And then, so I have that specific time to plan that out, and doing my most important tasks, I decide when I'm going to do those. And I do the same thing for my business. So I call it the intentional 10. And you spend 10 minutes, once you get good at it, 10 minutes planning out your week so you know what you're going to do when, so you can trust that you're going to get the most important things done.
Oh my gosh, I love the idea of doing this for different areas. I'm really good at doing this for business now after 11 years of being my own boss, but I don't do it for the other areas. And that's when I get to the end of the week and I'm like, I didn't call the orthodontist. And I've been saying I need to call the orthodontist for 2 weeks now. So I love the idea of planning it at the beginning of your day. So would you say for people who aren't doing that but want to look at like every area of their life when they're doing the planning?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So I think, like I think of it as being like a CEO in your household. Like, how are you like manage your family life like you would your business. Like you can't just hope it's gonna, like that's when we start to get panicked that, oh, I didn't call this person, and oh, I didn't tell the school this, or I didn't sign this paper or whatever. So what I would recommend is what I like to start with is, instead of doing everything, like I'm going to plan out everything and plan out my school and my teaching and all this kind of stuff. I would recommend thinking about the things first that are really weighing on you. So like, what's the thing you're always missing? Like, what's the thing that you're really stressed about, and start with that and start planning that, and then kind of add. Like when I first started planning my time in terms of like for my mom's life, I just did like, okay, I'm going to make sure I have my meal plan, and I'm going to make sure that I know what my babysitting looks like for the week. But then I started adding like my finances. Like I look at my finances every week. I make sure that all my bills have been paid, that I know where things are going, and I do my most important tasks like booking appointments always on Sundays. So I kind of gradually added things as I got better with it, but starting with the things that stress you out the most, and then kind of going from there once you build that routine. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's so good. And I love the idea of just starting with the thing that's weighing on you the most. And for a lot of us, that is either kids or our business. And what we want to prevent you from is getting to the end of the day and the week and feeling like you're not doing enough. And when you don't, what Lauren is saying, like if you just do this for 10, 15 minutes at the start of your week and plan it out, then you're not going to get to the end of the day. Like moms beat themselves up
absolutely
so freaking much, and it's because of this, because we're not being proactive and taking the 10 minutes to plan them out. So I love your method around this.
And the thing that I think that's really important too is when you actually sit down to look at it, you notice everything that you're doing, and you can say, oh, I need help for this. Like I need to ask my partner for this. I need to ask somebody else for help because I see everything that I'm doing, rather than just wondering why I can't do it all. And that's the thing that I talk about with a lot of the teacher moms that I work with, that the strategies we used to use before we became parents don't work for us anymore. Like I used to be able to just work and work and work and work, or I used to be able to just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And if something happened that didn't work, I would just kind of like, I would fix it in the moment. But you can't always do that as a mom. Like being able to look in advance and kind of anticipate really makes a huge difference, so you can make the most of the time that you do have, rather than like feeling like you don't have enough of it. And the thing I think when you plan it out too is it really helps you. Like I like to think of it as getting really clear on what my values are and having my time reflect my values. Because before I'd feel guilty anytime that my kids might need me. Like I felt guilty that I was working on my business, even though it could eventually help them. Like, and it does help them. Like it lets me spend more time with them now. At the time, I felt really uncomfortable spending any time on my business if they were awake. But now I think like my kids are really valued. Like that's a massive value for me. But at the same time, another value is doing something for me so that I feel fulfilled, that I'm supporting the family, that I'm showing them that like I can do other things and it's not just about them. Like I have all these different like values that I'm conscious of, and when I sit down to plan, I can make my life reflect my values rather than feeling guilty all the time that I'm not doing enough.
Yeah, so good. Thank you so much for this.